Imagine lying in bed at 3 in the morning, wide awake, staring at the ceiling, while the little orange pill bottle sits on your nightstand, half empty. And you already know that without it, tonight will be another lost night. That was Robert's life at 72. Every single night for almost 6 years. His doctor kept renewing the prescription. His family kept telling him, "At least you're sleeping." But deep down, Robert felt like something was quietly going wrong. His mornings were foggy, his memory felt slower, and a small nagging fear kept creeping in. What is this pill actually doing to my brain after all these years? So Robert brought that fear to his doctor, and together they mapped out a plan, a slow, medically supervised taper off his medication, paired with 3 specific changes to how he prepared for sleep. Over the next 30 nights, that plan changed everything. Today, we're going to walk through exactly what Robert did. Night by night, week by week, and the science behind why it worked, including what the research actually says and where it's still uncertain. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand something most people over 60 are never told. For a lot of people, the pill isn't fixing what's actually keeping them awake. It's just muting it. But before we get to what Robert changed, you need to understand why sleeping pills so often stop working the way people expect, especially after 60. Most sleep medications work by forcing the brain into unconsciousness. That's not the same as normal restorative sleep. Underneath, the brain can skip stages it needs, especially deep slow-wave sleep, the stage tied to memory consolidation and cellular repair. Over months and years, the brain also tends to build tolerance. The dose that used to work stops working, and several long-term studies have linked chronic use of certain sedative hypnotics in older adults to increased fall risk and daytime grogginess. This is not a claim that these medications are wrong for everyone, or that people should stop them on their own. Please don't do that. Some medications are genuinely appropriate for specific patients and conditions, and stopping certain sleep medications abruptly can be dangerous. That's exactly why Robert's change started with his doctor, not instead of her. For Robert specifically, the medication had been managing the symptom, the wakefulness itself, but it wasn't addressing several behavioral and environmental factors that were quietly disrupting his sleep underneath it. That gap is where his 3 changes came in. Night 1, the first change under medical supervision. With his doctor's guidance, Robert began a gradual, monitored reduction of his medication. On the first night of his new routine, about an hour before bed, he added the first of his 3 changes: 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, a form of magnesium bound to the amino acid glycine. This distinction matters. Magnesium oxide, the cheapest and most common drugstore form, is poorly absorbed and often used more as a laxative than anything else. Magnesium glycinate is generally chosen because it tends to be better tolerated on the stomach, though it's worth being honest here. Research hasn't isolated the glycinate form specifically as more effective for sleep than other forms. Most of the clinical evidence on magnesium and insomnia comes from studies using general magnesium supplementation, not glycinate in particular. What the research does show: magnesium plays a role in activating GABA receptors, the brain's primary calming system, the same general pathway that sedative sleep medications act on much more forcefully. A 2012 double-blind placebo-controlled trial gave 46 elderly participants with insomnia either 500 milligrams of magnesium or a placebo daily for 8 weeks. The magnesium group showed meaningfully better sleep efficiency. A more recent 2021 meta-analysis, pooling 3 randomized trials in older adults, found magnesium supplementation cut time to fall asleep by about 17 minutes compared to placebo, though the review's authors were direct that the overall quality of evidence was low. So the honest summary is: promising, worth discussing with a doctor, not a guaranteed fix. On night 1, Robert didn't fall asleep instantly. It took him almost an hour longer than usual, mostly because his body was used to the knockout effect of his previous dose. But he didn't feel groggy the next morning. The first week, rebuilding a signal. Here's something that gets less attention than it should. Your brain relies heavily on external cues to know when to release melatonin, your natural sleep hormone, and one of the strongest cues is darkness. So alongside the magnesium and his medication taper, Robert made his bedroom completely dark. Not dim, completely dark. He covered the small LED light on his television, moved his phone charger outside the room, and added blackout curtains. Even small amounts of light at night can suppress melatonin and delay the body's internal clock. Then came the third piece, and Robert said this was the one that made the biggest difference: a fixed wake time. Every morning, regardless of how well or poorly he'd slept, he got up at exactly 6:30 a.m. This is one of the better supported tools in sleep science. The circadian rhythm is anchored more strongly by a consistent wake time than by a consistent bedtime. By locking in his wake time, Robert was retraining his brain's internal clock. By the end of week 1, Robert was falling asleep within 20 to 30 minutes most nights. Week 2. The uncomfortable adjustment. Week 2 wasn't smooth. Robert felt more tired during the day. He felt irritable. Some nights, the old anxious thoughts about not sleeping crept back in. What Robert was experiencing has a name: rebound insomnia, a temporary period where the brain, no longer receiving a medication's full effect, has to relearn how to regulate its own sleep-wake signals. This adjustment period is well documented. Robert stuck with his 3 changes and his doctor's taper plan. By night 12, the fog started lifting. Around night 16, something changed. Robert described it as his body finally trusting that sleep would come. He stopped watching the clock. He woke once during the night, used the bathroom, and fell back asleep within minutes, something that used to take him an hour or more. It's worth being clear that this shift likely came from several things working together, not one: the completed medication taper, the darker room, the fixed wake time, reduced anxiety, and possibly the magnesium. Let me tell you about a composite patient, I'll call Eleanor, 74 years old, that reflects what plays out in exam rooms across the country every week. Myth bust. Natural means instant. A lot of people try magnesium for a few nights, feel no dramatic difference, and assume it doesn't work. Sleeping pills act like a light switch, fast and forceful. Eleanor had been chasing 120/80 for 3 years because that's the number she'd read was healthy. Her doctor kept adding medication to get her there. Magnesium, darkness, and a fixed wake time work more gradually, over 1 to 4 weeks in most of the trial data. It isn't a sedative and isn't meant to knock you out. By the second medication, she was dizzy most mornings. By the third, she fell getting up from the couch and fractured her wrist. This is also why magnesium glycinate is something doctors may reasonably discuss as an option for people looking to reduce reliance on sedative sleep medication, but always as a conversation with a physician first, particularly for anyone currently on prescription sleep medication or blood pressure medication, or with kidney disease, since magnesium is cleared by the kidneys and needs personalized dosing. It wasn't until a new physician reviewed her full picture, her age, her kidney function, her fall history, that anyone explained the concept of an individualized target to her. By day 30, Robert's medication taper was complete and his new routine was holding. He was falling asleep within 20 minutes most nights. He wasn't waking at 3 a.m. with that familiar racing heart anymore. Her new target wasn't 120/80. It was closer to 145/85, specifically because of her age and her fall risk. At his next checkup, his doctor was glad to see the change, but she was also careful not to credit any single piece of it. She told him it was probably the combination of all factors working together. Within a few weeks of that adjustment, the morning dizziness disappeared. She told her daughter she felt like she'd gotten her balance back for the first time in 3 years. That's not lowering your standards for your health. It's actually raising them by making sure the number you're chasing is protecting you instead of quietly putting you at risk of a fall or a fainting spell. Eleanor's story is a dramatized composite reflecting a pattern seen in many patients, not one specific individual. But the pattern itself is extremely common. The lesson here isn't that everyone over 60 should stop their sleep medication. Please don't do that without your doctor's guidance. Withdrawal and rebound insomnia are real risks. The real lesson is this. For some people, especially those over 60, poor sleep isn't purely a medication problem. Sometimes the body is missing a few basic conditions, and restoring those can meaningfully help sleep return. If Robert's story sounds like your own 3 a.m. ceiling staring routine, talk to your doctor about whether a gradual, supervised approach like this could work for you.